So, ladies and gentlemen, a leader, a scholar, an academician, an advocate, an administrator, and I can tell you from my personal experience with him, a heck of a good guy. A president for such a times as these. The 16th president of Howard University, President Sidney A. Ribeau.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Trustee Parsons, for those kind words. Now I'm going to take the cellophane off this water. That doesn't mean I'm going to talk a long time. That just means just in case it's ready to go, I have it accessible. I think one of the ways I'm going to gauge the success of this presentation is whether or not the young people over here fall asleep. I'm very much aware of our young audience. And it's indeed delightful to see the diversity of this audience, the young people, the little people, the faculty, the staff, the students, the military. It's very gratifying. I was sitting there listening to that moving musical rendition and feeling it and reflecting on the prayers of Dean Richardson. I love to hear Dean Richardson pray. I just love to hear Dean Richardson pray. When Dean Richardson prays, it's a sermon and a lecture and an uplift for the week all in one. He's one of our many Howard treasures. Okay, it's our students, new students, class of 2012. You should feel blessed to have a man of his character and dignity working on your behalf and working with you as you navigate the waters of higher education. I'd like to begin briefly with one of my favorite verses from the Bible. May the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. That's Psalms 19, chapter 19, verse 14. And I first became familiar with that verse, reading the Bible, but more importantly, through the work of Howard Thurman. And he began many of his sermons and meditations and reflections with that verse. And I had the privilege of listening to many of those, and it always stays with me. The words of my mouth, the thoughts of my heart, be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Because if I do my job well today, then what's in my heart and mind will be shared with you. And hopefully it's consistent with what's best for all of us to do on behalf of Howard University. Thank you. First, acknowledgments. My theme today is Now is the Time. Now is the time. That's the title of my presentation. But I'd like to first acknowledge Chairman Rand, distinguished members of the Board of Trustees, faculty and staff, the entire student body, many of whom can't be here today because of limited capacity of this facility. But if I do my job well, Mr. Chairman, maybe we'll have a larger one in 5 or 10 years. More space, more place for people to do their work. Specially invited guests, and I know from the research that was done in my office that there are a number of people who come every year. A story was shared with me about Ossie Davis, the former prize-winning actor who is now deceased, but the fact that he came every year to opening Convocation. So I know there are a number of special guests who are here, so we're pleased that you're here because you're our friends and you will carry the message of Howard to places that will far exceed our ability. So, friends, we're glad that you're here. Media participants, this Convocation is broadcast on radio and on television. I was talking to someone the other day. I was in the barbershop, and we were talking about, they said, you got a big speech coming up. I said, yeah, it's Convocation. And they said, well, I can't be there, but I know that I watch it on TV, and my mom always listens on the radio. So I hope that those of you who are watching and listening are able to participate and feel that this message is as much yours as it is the people that are here today. Radio and TV media folks who are here covering this event, and a special acknowledgement to my wife, Dr. Paula Wetzel Ribeau, who's right down here in front. She is truly the driving force in our family. You can ask our kids. She is the coach. I see David Oliver, our Olympian, is here, and his coach is right out there. You know, we're gonna acknowledge him a little later in the program, but I can say just in the brief time I've spent with him that he is as poised and dignified as he appeared on television, and we're so proud that he's a Bison. In addition to my wife, my daughter Taylor is here, and my son Brandon. And I will share with you that Wednesday night at about 1 a.m., she was critiquing my speech. I said, Taylor, I'm struggling with this speech. I'm not sure exactly where to go with it because I want to say something about the vision of the institution. I want to speak to the character and the history of the institution, but then I also want to tell people something about myself, the one who was chosen to lead Howard University. She said, okay, Doc, be downstairs at 1 o'clock. This is 1 a.m. And so she and my wife critiqued my thoughts and my comments. So, Taylor, if it's good, you get a lot of the credit, but you also got to wear the blame if it's not good. It's part of the mantle of leadership. But in particular, the class of 2012. Where is the class of 2012? Raise your hand. All right, the class of 2012. This is my classmate. These are my classmates. We started together. First year for them, first year for me. And we'll move through the system together, and we'll accomplish and achieve, and we'll look back and say, it was a good year. 2012 graduates. And lastly, I'd like to say to all of those who have come before me, who are not here with us today, but whose spirit, dedication has created Howard University, this is your convocation too. Because we all rest on the shoulders of those who've come before. Their legacy and their history might be captured in documents or books or archives, but their presence is ever with us. And so those who have come from the past to create the Howard of today, we recognize you and we thank you for all that you've done for this institution. And often we don't do that. You know, in America, we often don't take time to thank people for the things that they've done. We're so focused on the future and getting what we need now that we forget about the fact that we didn't get here by ourselves, nor will we go where we need to go by ourselves. So, with all that being said, there are just about, Mr. Chairman, 3 things that I want to do today. Just 3 things. First, I want to tell people a little bit about who I am. I want to go beyond the biographical sketch that's captured in my resume or curriculum vitae and give you a sense of who Sidney Ribeau is beyond that. Sidney Ribeau before that. Sidney Ribeau that will try to work collectively with the faculty, staff, students, and Board of Trustees to guide and lead this great institution. That's first. The second, I want to talk a little bit about the spirit of Howard University. 1867, 2008, 2028. Howard University is driven by a spirit, an essence, a set of intangibles that create energy and excitement around the meaning of this great institution and its significance to the larger society. So a little bit about the spirit of Howard University. And then finally, what we must do to maintain our unique place in the academic world and truly become the university of the 21st century. So those are the 3 things that I actually want to try to do. First thing, who is Sidney Ribeau? I've tried to condense this down to 3 or 4 different statements to kind of capture